this wobble right here.
Alright, this video is going to be about my experience with doing UMI's King of the Mountain last weekend. It was a very fun event, especially watching the shootout and stuff. I didn't get into the shootout after looking at some other cars and the competitors and stuff. I mean, obviously everybody there was a very fast driver.
Welcome to the 5th annual King of the Mountain. This has been 5 years. It's been a great thing. It's been growing, so I appreciate each one of you being here. You guys are here because we believe that you are the best of the best. Well, most of you. There's a couple of you that are a little scary sometimes.
And the cars are wildly different. Minimum weight for the cars is 2,900 pounds. My race weight with this thing is 3,700 pounds. So there's a clear disadvantage there because some of the guys were adding weight to their cars in order to make the 2,900 pounds. And, you know, weight is performance. And I know this car is heavy. This car is always going to be heavy. It's just kind of the nature of the beast about when I got started with this car and how the first year I was driving it, half the body mounts were ripped out of either the frame or the body itself. So I ended up welding in a lot of metal in order to give it structural integrity, including the cage and double boxing the frame rails and doubling or tripling all the thickness of all the suspension points. And then, you know, the arrow's not exactly light, but it's, you know, DIY kind of stuff. So it's just, you know, what I can do to make it work better than what it was the event before. And that's kind of how I've gone about everything. And it ends up being where it's a heavy car. And a lot of that's due to the choices I've made, especially my insistence on sticking with an Oldsmobile engine. Anyway, moving on. Yeah, it was a fun event. Bit of a hike out there. It's, I don't know, Google says like 13.5 hours one way. That's actually significantly more because Chicago and stops have to get through there. So we ended up taking 2 days to get out there, and then was able to get back a little bit quicker. 15 hours straight of driving on yesterday. We got out there Thursday night. Chater Orange Soda Racing. He's on YouTube and Instagram if you want to check his stuff out. He took a bunch of pictures. I'm sure he'll have a few videos of himself. He did like all of the camera work that you're going to see in this video and in all of his. I basically just handed him my camera and be like, hey, go to town. Because I wanted to be focused on driving and the car and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not a big one for getting the camera out too often. As you can tell, it's been a while since I've done a video. So start of qualifying was Friday morning. We'd already had the car unpacked and set up and ready to go Thursday. I basically just left everything exactly how it was from testing at Black River Motorsports Park. Was hopeful that it was gonna be real close on setup as far as at UMI, just because the tracks are different and UMI was significantly higher speeds. Started out in the morning, felt like I was driving pretty good. It was getting warm. We got 4 runs in the morning and it was going to be 4 in the afternoon. I thought I ran an okay time. Felt like the car had like another second in it if I could push it a little bit more in the afternoon, and I was still like, you know, getting the tires set to temp and all, or set to pressures and all that stuff as they came up to temp. At the end of the 4 runs in the morning, I was sitting 15th in class with less than a tenth to get into 14th. However, 16th through 20th were less than 6/10 behind. So it was really tight in the middle of the field there. Some of the really fast guys were a good 3 seconds ahead or more. And then we had kind of a long break between runs because we ran second in mid class because they did early, mid, late, super late. Everybody has a group in their individual classes, so we got our runs in fairly early, and then it was kind of a lot of waiting time. And I was tired from the drive, so it was like kind of napping a little bit. And then we were waiting into the afternoon to get going, and then I kind of psyched myself out on it and decided to make a change to the car. And then I don't know, I did my first run, and Chater came to check on me, and I recall the only thing I said was, "It's freaking hot in here." And I think I kind of just was losing focus, and just because my first run was about 6/10 slower than my best one in the morning, which, for the tires being cold again, that wasn't bad. But then, my second run was only a 10th faster, and I thought that it should have been better than, I felt like I drove like it should have been better than that. And then, I don't know, like I said, I think I got in my head, I started making shock adjustments, and it was just not working. The car felt better. I felt like I was making better runs. My fourth run in the afternoon, I thought I did a really good job, and it was my slowest run of the whole day. And I don't know. I couldn't keep it together, or whatever it was, why I came up short there. And I was just frustrated and disappointed in myself for a couple hours, or an hour or two after that. And then I just felt like I didn't know what to do. So the simple solution for me was to go back to what I know, which was kind of taking the changes out that I did at Black River Motorsports Park that had looked like I got the improvements out of it. And so basically I brought the roll center back down, I moved the lower control arms back up to compensate for the amount of rear steer it was going to get, because I didn't want it to be super over rear steery. And then I just put the shocks back to anytime I have an issue with shocks, I put them back to the same thing so that I can kind of have a baseline again. And I just did that Friday evening, and then found some other problems, like the both exhaust mounts, brackets, whatever, in the back that were holding it up broke. The rubber tore and broke on both of them, so that the exhaust was just kind of hanging by the headers all the way to the back. And I think part of the reason why I went and got a little iffy on the setup and changing in the morning was because there was a big bang or clunk when I was doing high load transitions, and I was worried I was binding up suspension or something. And it was, in hindsight now looking at it, it was just the exhaust moving around and smacking into the frame or something else. And it kind of got in my head that something was bad with the suspension, and I really didn't want to break the car. So I'd started making changes, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. But and it was taking some hose clamps, get some weight taken off to hold the exhaust up, and it was just kind of like, all right, whatever, we'll see what it does Saturday morning. By Saturday morning, I kind of realized what I'd done to myself Friday afternoon and screwed up, because by by the end of Friday afternoon, because I couldn't improve it, I ended up 19th and only just barely ahead of 20th, but all the way up to 13th was actually still fairly close. I think there might have been a 1.2 seconds or something being the difference between them. So I thought, well, maybe if I can, get it figured out Saturday, I can move back up a few spots. But the cutoff for the shootout was 12th, and kind of was already writing on the wall that that wasn't going to happen. So I think it took a little bit of pressure off, or a little bit of frustration from me. And I just kind of made the decision that I'm just going to drive the car Saturday. I'm not going to touch anything. I didn't even put the tire pressure gauge in the car to check between rounds, because I just like, you know what, I'm not airing them back up. They'll come up to temp with the runs. They'll get the pressures there. I'm not going to check anything. I'm not even going to get out of the car between runs. And so I did, again, I did, fairly decent in the morning. I actually made quite a big improvement on my third run, but I hit my one and only cone of the entire weekend in that run. So I kind of like knew, all right, well, the car is at least car and I are at least capable of getting there. We'll just have to see if we can do it in the afternoon. Luckily, temps didn't get nearly as hot as they did on Friday. And in the afternoon, same game plan. I didn't touch a dang thing. However, I did hop in and go for a ride in Nick Barnett's Nova. And just going for that quick little ride made me realize that I hadn't been using the brakes as hard as I could or should have been all weekend. So knowing that before I started my afternoon runs, even though it was warmer out and therefore we were going to be down a little bit on power compared to the morning, but then maybe the tire temps to keep up, but then track conditions to change too. It was kind of just like, well, we'll see what we got. And even after my first run, I was able to go a whole lot closer to my best run of the morning than I normally do. And when I started doing the second run, I realized that, oh yeah, look, that brake pedal is so much better than it was all day yesterday and in the morning, because I'd actually used them a lot harder during the first run, so they had more temp in them. Part of the downside is that it's like, this car's built to do road course stuff, and before getting Kingdom Mountain, there's lots of things I could have optimized on it, but it's just, I don't have the time for all of that. So it's still set up as a road race car, so I could have changed pads and had better braking for autocross temps. Since there's no rules, I could have ran different tires or bigger or wider tires. I could have gutted out the doors off the other shell and swapped doors and showed up. And I don't know. There's all kinds of things I could have done to optimize, but it just, for one event, I just didn't see it being worth it, especially for how short I have been on time the last couple of months, because I've been doing so much racing and then had so many breakdowns that I've been needing to fix this year. I really missed 2 years ago when the car just drove every session and every lap of every session. Yeah, hopefully we can get back to that. Anyway, final run of the day on Saturday. I was able to get within a tenth of my morning run that had a cone. So I felt a lot better about how I did, because I was able to, match it and have it be clean, which, helped have me a better time. But overall for the weekend, I still ended up running 20th in class. So I guess really for the first time doing this event, and I know I could have done better as a driver, and I should have, but I just didn't, I guess. I don't know. That was my shortcoming. And yeah, I'd have to change a lot on the car in order to get it down even close to minimum weight to try to build it a whole lot more competitive. So I think for showing up with what I had, I mean, 20th ain't bad. Out of was supposed to be 30, I think 29 cars are what showed up. So yeah, I mean, towards the middle of the ground. And again, all the way up to 13th was a pretty small gap, even at the end of Saturday. Like it for sure was less than 2 seconds. I'm thinking maybe it was like 1.5 or something like that. So, you know, really, if I could have done better Friday and, you know, and then done even if I had done just a little bit better both days, I would have moved up several places in the scoring. So I feel like I'm not too far off. But,
oh no, Cody's smoking.
yeah, super fun event. I'm just a little bummed out because I thought I would have done better, but it's mostly I'm bummed out about myself on that. But it is what it is.
Hey, you're smoking real bad.
You know, I really would like to get invited back, you know, next year or, you know, maybe even the following year and run the other car. You know, I mean, there's things I can do. I mean, really, I'm at the point where I think I'm done with the major mods on this car, just because it's such a good all-around car right now. Because I can street drive it, I can take it to, you know, I can just drive it around. I can go to shows. I can take it to the, you know, road courses and run big tracks. I can autocross it. You know, I even drag race it a couple times a year. Like it's a great all-arounder right now, and I really don't want to ruin that by, you know, gutting it out or cutting it up again to try to do, you know, the cage and suspension stuff lighter. It'd be such a huge additional time investment to probably make it worse as far as how much I enjoy the car. And I want to enjoy the car as much as possible. So, yeah, watching the shootout in the Saturday evening, because then I was all done with my stuff, got the car loaded up, you know, so we were just ready, and our plan was just hang out for the night. Like Chater just jumped down into the infield, took the camera, took all kinds of shots. I'm sure we'll throw a few in here at least. I'm sure his video will have all the highlights, kind of a thing. He got some really good stuff too. But yeah, I stayed up on the banking and watched from like pit exit, turn 1 area up on the banking with a bunch of the other competitors, and man, it was a really good time. I even went back and looked at like what the live stream was like on YouTube there last night just to kind of see how it came out, and it's like it doesn't even come close to doing this event justice. Like if you're even remotely close to the area or you've thought about going just to attend, go do it. Like there's just like an electricity in the air when the event is going on, and it's just awesome. Totally awesome. Like it was that watching the shootout in person was probably easily the highlight of my weekend by a lot. I mean, yeah, I got to drive the car, you know, be out there, experience it, the competition stuff, but man, even that whole portion, like it didn't even come close to just watching and experiencing the shootout in person. So highly recommend it. If you get the chance to go next year, do it. You know, or even at years in the future here. Absolutely awesome event. Yeah, I've probably talked enough. Camera doesn't need to look at me talking the whole time. Could probably put GoPro videos and stuff in while I'm yabbering away. Yep.